Hey everyone, before we dive into the video, I wanted to let you know about this video's sponsor, Cacao Games, and their upcoming mobile game, Moonlight Sculptor. This free-to-play mobile game developed by ArcAge's XL Games is in pre-registration until May 24th. Based on the famous novel The Legendary Moonlight Sculptor, this game features an immersive story, an ever-changing dungeon named the Chaotic Entrance, weekly PvP tournaments, and even housing, crafting, and fishing. Pretty much everything. It even features an offline mode to grind resources while you sleep. Check the link in the description to pre-register before May 24th to earn exclusive skins and other items to help you on your adventure. It also supports the channel, so that's a good bonus as well. Anyway, on to the video. Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we're going to be doing a little prediction for the upcoming fan festival for Final Fantasy XIV. Now I don't have too many things to predict, but I've been getting a lot of questions about things I expect to see or things I don't expect to see on Friday, and so I figured a video, I could make one, and it would just help pass the time because I'm dying while I'm waiting for FanFest on Friday. Now bear in mind that while I may be basing predictions on context clues in the game or things that developers or Yoshi P has said in interviews, that they are just that, predictions, speculation. They aren't set in stone, and I don't think they will be. Now while I may disagree with some other people's predictions, and trust me, I read my comment sections, I disagree with quite a few of them. At the end of the day, some of us will have cake on our face on Friday, and some of us will be holding our heads high that we got a prediction correct. So with that, let's just have a little bit of fun and try to pass the time, shall we? So first I want to start with what I think is the most obvious prediction, is that we will indeed get the full trailer and the full soundtrack that goes with it. We have heard a full no sound effects version of the Endwalker theme as we have it thus far, about 3 minutes long, through a Twitter video that was posted kind of teasing Endwalker and going over the information that was revealed at the first event. Now that does mean I do expect 5.55 spoilers, even though we haven't seen that. There is a small chance that we get a slightly modified version with less spoilers, just because the patch is going to be coming a few days later. But, you know, I just think they'll give us the full one, and that'll be the end of it. So prediction number one, full trailer with the full soundtrack as well. Now, next I want to cover something I predict will not be at FanFest, and this is something that I've gotten more questions about than anything else regarding the upcoming fan festival. We will not see a job action trailer. That is my prediction. Now, a lot of people have said, but normally we get a job action trailer around May. Well, in case you haven't noticed, the last year has been nothing but normal. Normally, we get an expansion about a month to a month and a half from when I'm making this video. But that's not going to be happening this year, as they've already stated that Endwalker would not be releasing until fall. Now, job action trailer historically is not just May, but approximately a little bit more than a month before the expansion comes out. And that's because it's the most accurate time to show the progress that's been made with the jobs and their new actions and their adjusted actions. Because if they were to reveal it now, there's just a good chance that none of that stuff would even matter in a few months the next time we actually get to see those updates. So while I wouldn't be too surprised to hear mention of ideas or philosophies, especially because they will be talking about the new Melee job, that I would expect in, minor details, but a full job action trailer and an in-game showcase, no, they're going to save that for a live letter. I'm going to predict closer to August or September. It really depends on when that release date is, because I'm going to say about 5-6 weeks before the expansion actually releases. So big prediction, there will not be a job action trailer, but that doesn't mean there may not be small details about jobs present in the presentation. Now, I just mentioned it, so I might as well update my predictions on this Melee DPS. We know already from the previous event that the new job is a Melee DPS, and thanks to some interviews, we know it is very likely to wear maiming gear. Now, I go over this in much greater detail in my old prediction video regarding the Melee DPS, and quite frankly, not much has changed for me in that regard. I'm not even comfortable predicting a name. I know some people are going with Reaper or Templar, and I've seen Necromancer thrown around just because the theme seems to be Death, Grim Reaper, all that. I can tell you I do not believe it will be Necromancer at the very least. Templar, I'm like, Reaper, if I had to agree with one of the three, would probably be the one I'm leaning towards most. But after Gunbreaker in the previous expansion and Sage being what it is, I don't think I can safely make a prediction that doesn't make me look dumb, nor am I confident in making one. So I'm just going to predict that the weapon will be a scythe. That's a prediction I've had for quite some months now. I think it's a very popular prediction amongst everybody, although some people I know are holding out for maybe dual-wielding sickles or a hammer or something like that. You know what? You do you. We don't know what the weapon is yet, but I'm going to hold steady at predicting that the weapon will be a scythe, and that's it. I'm not going to guess the name. Now, honestly, another prediction that I've been asked about a lot recently is the 24-man raid series. Now, our last two expansions have been collaborations. One with Matsuno for the Ivalice universe, bringing that into Final Fantasy XIV. And just to be clear, it is not Final Fantasy XII, Tactics, and 14 are all the same universe. Ivalice, like most other things that are in Final Fantasy XIV, has been given sort of a 14ified version, like how the Crystal Tower from 3 is in it. It's basically the same thing. And then, of course, we have the Nier collaboration, which as of the making of this video, we're still waiting on one more quest to get the true finale of. But the next 24-man raid series will return to being a completely original series, meaning we know that it won't be based on another game at the very least. Now, I say that, but it could be based on another Final Fantasy game, just not in the sense that they're bringing in like a, a unique producer or developer or anything to do anything special there. But we know that it's going to be something that's been a long time mystery in Final Fantasy XIV. They said from the beginning of A Realm Reborn. Now that's interesting because if we're going to go all the way back to A Realm Reborn, not necessarily the beginning, but just, going back into the 2.x series, that narrows things down a lot. There's still some mysteries regarding the War of the Magi, though we do greatly explore those in the Shadows of Mach series. So I'm not too keen on it being something Nimian, for example, or Amdaporian, but I would totally welcome that because more information and more insight into the War of the Magi would be appreciated. It's not that long ago in the history of the world, but it is something I still think could be a lot of fun. So then I think about what other mysteries. There are some bones that, we've been able to tie back to certain sea creatures over in Limsa-Lominsa. There's a lot of unexplored areas in the mountains, both even of Lenosha as well as Ul'dah, even though we just went to Pagalthon, so we probably won't see anything like that. So what other mysteries, if we're going to specifically stick to A Realm Reborn? That's really tough, and quite frankly, there's only one or two I can really think of, and they seem kind of just like too obvious, so much so that I don't really think that, I'm not confident in this prediction. We were told that we were going to be exploring the true secrets of Silvertear Lake this expansion, and we have not done that yet. I do believe, based on the 5.5 trailer, that will actually be a major plot point in 5.5 Part 2, but that leaves a mystery in my head. Long ago in A Realm Reborn, when Nero chucked that energy detection device under the Crystal Tower, it beeped. Now, I, for a long time, have held true that all the way back then that somehow, G'raha was reaching out and that was the future G'raha. Like, I don't think it's ever been explicitly stated somewhere, but that's always been kind of my headcanon ever since we've been into the crevice and actually, used that to, for Shadowbringers to even take place for us to go to the first. However, originally, we were told they were going to explore the idea of Eureka being underneath the Crystal Tower. Now, in Final Fantasy III, that is where Eureka is, and it contains some of the most powerful weapons that have ever existed. We know that has been adapted into what the Isle of Val was. Another mystery from the 2.x series that was answered. The Isle of Val that disappeared became the island that was the centerpiece of Eureka. So, because they've now knocked both of those things, the Isle of Val and Eureka, out of the way, it doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't something else beneath the Crystal Tower. And you'd think that G'raha would be keenly aware of that being the future that he's from, but there's always a chance that there was just something else under there that maybe was revealed after the Crystal Tower went away. I don't know. It's really, really hard to tell. There could also be some random ruins, something Gelmoran related, for example. Something Sildian is also possible. There are so many mysteries and things that while we've explored them lore-wise and we know bits about them, that there's just so many mysteries left. And that's been a good thing about A Realm Reborn looking back, is it left a lot of room open to explore things. And so, while I'll leave my prediction at something else beneath the Crystal Tower, I don't feel confident in that. And honestly, anyone's predictions would be appreciated on that front. And honestly, I'd say even though they said from way back when, even just like the ruins in Dravania, for example, in the Dravanian Forelands, those have always been a big mystery to me. Maybe there's something there. Feel free to go crazy on that speculation, because I don't think any of us are going to get it right because we know we're right. We're going to get it right because we threw a dart at the dartboard and said, I like where that landed. Another thing, this thing I think, I'm feeling not really confident about what we'll see predicted, but that we will see something in this vein predicted. Another beast tribe and another trial encounter. Now we know that we are going to be facing off against Anima, and there's been a lot of discussion about who the other trial is going to be. I am in the boat that the other trial will be the Magus Sisters. Now, I know that that seems a little cliche, but we already have images that seem to show that they're present, or that a race of people that worships them is present somewhere on the source, based on the fact that we see an image of the tower dungeon, and we see what looks to be the Magus Sisters actually engraved or encased, as we now know, in the walls of that. So it could be that it's a race of those bug-like people, and that the Magus Sister is being summoned, which would then mean that the bug-like people that are being trapped in there may just be the beast tribe that we actually get. Whether or not that's the case, this is another prediction I'm not super confident about, but this is where my head's at with this. We already know that they had the original Final Fantasy X illustrator draw anima. Cool, get them to do Magus Sisters as well. They're not originally from 10, but it is going to be a popular place for them to be considered. So that is going to be my prediction on the trial. It will be the Magus Sisters, and I predict, and if honestly, if they're not a trial, I expect them to be in this expansion somewhere. Yeah, so that's going to be the prediction. And that the Beast Tribe would subsequently be the insect-like people that would summon these deities. Another big prediction, and something I do expect them to unveil later, and not at the fan festival, unfortunately, is the trial series. Now, we know that every expansion since Heavensward has gotten a trial series. We got the Warring Triad, we got the Four Lords, and now we got the weapon series from the Sorrows of Wurlit. So what could be the series for this Final Fantasy IV themed expansion? The Four Fiends from Final Fantasy IV in particular. Of course, we normally only get 3 trials, so one of them would probably be a dungeon boss. I actually recently answered in a Q&A that I think that would probably be Cagnazzo who would be the dungeon boss, because it's hard for me to imagine them doing that to Barbarisha, and especially not, there's no way they do it to Rubicante. So, but the other 2, honestly, it would be a toss-up for me to predict which one would be the dungeon boss. Honestly, we don't even know 6.3 will be an MSQ trial. I suspect it will be, but it's possible maybe they just do all 4 of them as trials instead. There is room for things to be very different because of the way 6.1 through 6.5 will be handled. So that's going to be my prediction, but I don't think they'll actually talk about this during FanFest. They normally don't talk about it until the live letter for the 0.2 patch is coming. So in other words, we wouldn't know about this for probably another year or more from when I'm even making this prediction. After I was done recording, I realized there was something else I forgot to predict, and we're probably going to see a few new areas. I fully expect for us to see some artwork of Sharlayan, or even some in-game screenshots of Sharlayan, as well as one other area. I'm going to predict it's somewhere around Garlemald, but not Garlemald itself. I don't think they'll show us the moon just yet, though. And finally, miscellaneous stuff. I've seen so many just like, just let me throw an idea at the wall kind of things here. And honestly, this is just as tough for me as some of the other ones. So DX12 for an engine update would normally be in my prediction list, but because of the last year and how events have transpired, I think they are entirely focused on the contents of Endwalker and not an engine upgrade. I will predict 7.0 comes with some sort of engine update, whether it's DX12 or a new engine altogether. That leaves a little bit to the future. We'll worry about that at another time. Something that I do think they might talk about is a pet system overhaul. Now, this is something that would normally be reserved for the same live letter where they show the job action trailer. But a light mention of it, a quick 30-second, we're looking at this, an acknowledgement of recent statements Yoshi P has made, just to reiterate it so more people are aware, wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. So, and those are really the things we're looking at. A new Gold Saucer event, also, I'm pretty sure they're actually going to show us at this FanFest. And other than that, it's kind of tough. We'd probably see more things like we saw surprise us with, like, belts and the stat squish. Yeah, something along those lines. We know those 2 things in particular, but I do wonder if there's something else in that vein, of that scale, that is also going to be happening. And I can't help but feel like they might mention something along those lines. So the miscellaneous predictions, I think, is where people are going to go nuts the most. And I think this is really where people would throw the job action stuff into the prediction wheelhouse. But that's all I got. A potential DX12, which I don't actually think will happen, and maybe a mention of a pet system overhaul. And then something that is along the same scale as the stat squish or belts being removed. I think they'll reiterate those things anyway. I think they'll reiterate pretty much the entire previous FanFest bit of information we got. but this is probably the big thing. Whatever it is, they're probably gonna also gonna officially announce a release date for the PS5 version. It's technically in beta right now, but they might officially. Oh, that's the biggest prediction of all, a release date. How did I not even think about that before I wrote this video up? Yeah, I think they'll tell us what the actual release date is, or at least a more narrow window. I think they're probably still a little on edge about giving us an exact date, because I doubt they're 100% confident in the date they would give us, but a pre-order date, that I'm 100% confident. Oh yeah, and the collectors, did I not even watch previous years of FanFest? Yeah, they'll show us the collector's edition rewards. Duh! Why didn't I not think of this? Yeah. We'll see the collector's edition, we'll get a pre-order date, we'll get prices on everything, and hopefully an actual release date, which again, still they might be a little reserved on, but I didn't even write that down. Whatever, it's in the video now and I get to look like an idiot, not much different than my normal videos. But anyway, I think that's gonna cover all of my predictions for the upcoming Fan Festival. So, with that, I hope I just bought you about 15 minutes of your life that you didn't have to think about it, even though I was talking about it the entire time. Now just watch this video on repeat until FanFest is here, and it'll be here in no time. With that, thank you for watching. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned. We'll be doing all sorts of coverage. We will be doing a live stream covering the opening keynote, and the following day covering the live letter. We will have on some special guests from another podcast, The Relic Grind, which was a podcast that was made by my old co-host, Mr. Byrne. He will be joining us for that, as well as Ethos Sly, and one of Mr. Byrne's co-hosts as well will be on that. So we're going to be doing all sorts of coverage. We're going to have, patch 5.5 part 2 coming soon. We got a lot of stuff coming soon. So the channel is going to be pretty busy. Plus, I'm making more of those silly videos that you saw with the Gathering one. A crafting one is coming soon. Anyway, with that, I'll see you all in the next one. And until then, take care.